Here we have a car that I've been looking for a long time. It is a 1993 Mercury Capri. The story on these is pretty interesting. They were sold from 1991 until 1994, and they're actually built in Australia. They're one of few cars to be built in Australia and sold in the United States. So technically they were sold here as a captive import. They shared a lot with the Mercury Tracer and the Mazda 323 in terms of their underpinnings, but they were primarily intended to compete with vehicles like the Mazda Miata and the Toyota MR2, despite the fact that this thing is front-wheel drive. Obviously, it's got pop-up headlights. It's a convertible. It's a 2+2 configuration, so unlike the Miata that was just a two-seater, technically you could fit 4 people in this thing. There were 2 powertrains offered, 2 4-cylinder engines. One was just a base 4-cylinder that made 100 horsepower, and the other was a turbocharged version of that 4-cylinder that put out 132 horsepower. Base models were available with a 4-speed automatic, 5-speed manual was optional, and then on the upper trim, there were just 2 trims. On the upper trim level, you could get only came with a 5-speed manual. But these are super rare, super unique. Clearly, you know, it looks like a convertible from the early 90s, but then you get a closer look at it, and it's like, what am I looking at? I've only ever seen one other one in Salt Lake City, actually. It's red. I've seen it a couple times. But I've never been able to get a photo of it. So to see this one here parked in Moab is extremely convenient, and it's actually for sale. I'll read the for sale sign here. So 1993 Mercury Capri, $1,800 or best offer. Great little car, just don't need it. Want to see it, go to someone who will enjoy it. Happy to set up a test drive. Call or text. And there's a number if you're interested. But very cool to see one of these. Such a unique part of Ford's history, the Capri. Knowing what I know about Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury now, it seems like during the time, this was probably the exact kind of vehicle that Mercury should have been offering. It's a fun little convertible, obviously front-wheel drive, but still, I'm sure it was fun to drive, and it was probably great for the Mercury brand at the time. Obviously, we know what happened to Mercury after it stopped producing cars like this. But anyway, very excited to finally get to see one of these things. A 1993 Australian-built Mercury Capri. I'm in Price, Utah, and I've been looking for / hoping to see a Mercury Capri for a couple of years now, and I just saw one in Moab. Now, as I'm driving through Price here, I stumbled upon a second one. So this one obviously has a hard top. The one I just saw in Moab had a folding soft top. But yeah, these were sold from 1991 to 1994. I looked this one up, and it's a 1991, so it's from the first model year for the Capri. These were built in Australia, which is kind of the coolest thing about them. Let's see, so the one I saw in Moab was an automatic. The one I saw in Moab was a manual. This one has an automatic. So I think that means that it has the non-turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in it, putting out 100 horsepower. But yeah, another Mercury Capri. Who would have thought? 2 Capris in one day. It's not a very good-looking hardtop. I mean, they couldn't have curved it a little bit. It's had to be this sharp angle right here. Anyway, this one is for sale as well, I think. Yeah, it just says for sale. So I guess inquire within the quick lube. Wow, it's registered. 91 Capri.